Hi, we're here with Terry McBride, the CEO and founder of Nettwerk Records. Terry, thank you for joining us.
You're more than welcome.
We're here at Canadian Music Week. Can you tell us a little bit about, you have a keynote tonight, can you tell us a little bit about what you'll be speaking about?
Well, I think I'm going to speak towards the future.
Okay.
Because I think, we're in the music business has been through a recession for the last 10 years. But the next 2 years is going to be turned upside down. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone's focused upon ISPs and digital downloads and litigation and copyright law, and no one's focusing on what's happening with smartphones and apps and how everything's about to get shifted like 180.
How do things like cloud computing and smartphones, how do you think those are going to play into the way that we consume music in the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
Well, I think you have to look at how people consume now and some of the early trends. You have Apple, who a year ago launched an app store. No one really thought much of it. In its second year, research firms are figuring it'll do over $1 billion worth of business. So this is from 0 to 1 billion. They've already sold 150 million apps in the first nine months.
Yeah.
Now, the iPhone is literally 2 or 3% of the overall marketplace.
Yeah. And
smartphones phones roll over about every 18 months. So within the next 2 years, every kid is going to have a smartphone. Kids don't feel the need to own, they feel the need to access. And on these smartphones are going to be brilliant apps that will allow them to have digital maids, digital valets, however they want to consume media is all going to be on their smartphone. So the interesting thing is that Apple, in essence, has created the death of the iPod with the introduction of the iPhone. But there's such a small piece of the marketplace that when Research in Motion launches their app store, Microsoft just took the window off theirs today. Mm-hmm. Nokia's coming with one. Yep. They're all coming with app stores. And so a very small slice of the market has them now. Now a much larger one's going to have it.
How does your role as the owner of a record company, how does that change when music becomes less of a product and more of a service?
Well, the way that I look at it is it's no longer about content, it's about context. So we're like now in the sort of digital 2.0 era. Nobody knows it yet, but we're actually there. So if you look at how the internet developed, going from the basics to then rich, we've gone from the basics to now we're moving into the rich part. So the context is far more important than the content. If you're a Kings of Leon fan, you now have access to all 3 albums, not just the most recent one that finally broke them. You also probably have access to multiple concerts. You know more about the artist, like what are their causes, what do they align with, what do they believe in. So it's context, not content. And that's how you consume culture.
There are some people who would argue that file sharing and free file sharing and that kind of stuff can actually be good for an artist. Yep. Is that something you agree with? And how can it help an artist?
Well, the thing is, to me, that's kind of moot now. Why are you going to want to download? I mean, for one, the smartphones are not going to have enough memory to download anything on, but they'll have enough memory within their flash to hold everything that you need that particular day, maybe even for the whole weekend. And you have instant access to changing that however you want. Why would you want to download it? So to me, the whole peer-to-peer argument is really just out the door. Everyone's focused on that now, but it's a red herring now.
How do you see the state of copyright legislation in Canada, and what do you think needs to be done for us to kind of win back that international clout that maybe makes us worthy of investment?
Well, I think you have to realize Canada is a very small marketplace, very small population over huge landmass. So really, we are a niche marketplace. So we shouldn't pretend to be anything else but. 2, I'm in favor of changing the copyright law as long as it's aimed at servicing the consumer, because only then will you actually win. My opposition to a lot of what they've been trying to push through the last 10 years has been because there's been that veiled threat of suing the consumer, which makes no sense at all. We need to understand how they're consuming and monetize their behavior. That's the model. Right now, internationally, only 5% of the overall consumption of digital music is actually being paid for. So there's a huge opportunity to capture the other 95%. So with the smartphones coming and all these apps coming, the music business gets one more kick at the can. And I hope they don't fight this one, because there's a huge opportunity here to grow the business faster than what they've ever considered. And I think there's a huge sense of optimism for the first time in about 5 years that this business can actually grow.
The music industry has gotten a bit of a bad rap over the last little while, whether it's the RIAA launching lawsuits against consumers or the digital rights management. How can the music industry sort of put on a good face and win back that kind of trust from the consumer?
I think by understanding that consumers buy music because of the bands and because of the music, not because of them. So get out of the way, become more of a customer service vehicle, and monetize that part of the formula versus trying to control what music is heard and what music is purchased. And I think if they do that and understand that the band-to-fan relationship is the emotional glue that drives the business, they will do perfectly fine.
And similarly, like, copyright was never really an issue. It never really was an issue until recently.
It still isn't an issue. The average Joe on the street does not understand copyright.
Pretty much does it for our time. Awesome. Terry, thanks very much for joining us here. And enjoy the rest of your time in Toronto. I know you're not here very long.
The next 5 hours.
Yeah, we'll have a great time. So we've been talking with Terry McBride, the CEO and founder of Nettwerk Records, and this is the Global Mail. Thank you.